Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Friday the 2nd of July 2021 and we're carrying out our regular morning update on the news, financials and gold and silver prices. In the last 24 hours, gold has risen, but silver has fallen. And we shall take a look as to why. So let's get to it right away. Well, good morning. This bright Friday morning, 2nd of July, 9:30 GMT +1. Sun is shining, sky is clear. Let's hope for a really beautiful weekend ahead. Yesterday our walk at the barrage was quite successful. I managed to do 13,000 steps yesterday, which gives me a discount on my health insurance, providing I keep that up on a regular basis. So far, life is good. Let's have a look at the main news. Headlines on Bloomberg today. J&J COVID shot neutralizes Delta variant, company says. Global tax overhaul nears historic deal amid last-minute hurdles. We'll have a look at that in a second. Europe stocks futures climb ahead of payrolls, and we'll take a look at that too. Trump's CFO's, Chief Financial Officer's luxury perks could lead to long prison sentence, and certainly in the news yesterday, it was all about the indictment of the Trump organization. So, let's take a look really at this part here. Global tax overhaul nears historic deal amid last-minute hurdles. This was published just a couple of hours ago. The Biden administration and global allies scored a major victory yesterday, in their push for a more balanced international corporate tax system, but still face multiple significant obstacles to completing an ambitious plan that has been years in the making. The boost came during a round of talks hosted by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, where 130 countries and jurisdictions backed a plan to set a minimum corporate tax rate and establish a new regime for sharing the taxes imposed on the profits of multinational firms. And we have to admit, without actually going into the detail, in broad concept, we agree with this. Far too many large companies are making billions and billions of dollars of profit and paying virtually no tax, simply by positioning their HQ in a friendly tax haven, or allowing the income derived from various countries to be recorded in a favourable tax area. And really, that is unfair. Perhaps the one example of a Biden accomplishment might very well be this. Also, European shares advance as investors weigh economic recovery. European equities edged higher on Friday as investors weighed the prospects for economic recovery against concerns about the fast-spreading Delta virus strain. And then it talks about the various indices being up, and we'll take a quick look at that. But it does say, and we don't want to miss this, later in the day, focus will turn to the US jobs report. This is the non-farm payroll report that we've been banging on about since last Saturday. Verge expects to be positive. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde is also set to speak Friday. I really don't know why I can't say the name Fernandez. Very strange. Let's have a quick look at the BBC News. The only thing really of great interest by the BBC in the UK was a Labour victory in a local by-election. Yes, we had a local by-election for the UK Parliament, and Labour beat the Conservatives by just over 300 votes, if memory serves me correctly, 323 votes. In the United States, again, more focus on the Canadian heatwave. Churches vandalised in Alberta on Canada Day. Boy Scouts reach $850 million deal over sex abuse claims. And again, the Trump company charged with tax crimes. So frankly, nothing of real significance economically being reported by the news agencies. Going back slightly to the UK, Asda to allow permanent hybrid working for offices, restaurants forced to shut due to staff isolating. This was an interesting one. Lorry driver shortage threatens Haribo sweets. There's a shortage of lorry drivers in Germany. And Richard Branson sets the 11th of July to make his space flight. What's been happening then? Dollar up today, 0.03 at 92.62. Looks like the dollar's becoming quite comfortable in their spot index of 92. The effect on energy, yes, it's marginally pushed oil prices down by a quarter cents. By a quarter of a dollar at 74.98, and Brent crude at 75.53. Looking at markets, yesterday Dow up, S&P up, Nasdaq up, NYSE composite up, all within 0.5%, but nevertheless beginning to rise again slowly. European markets this morning, which are open now, the Euro stocks is up, FTSE is up, DAX is up, and CAC is up again, just 0.25% broadly here. And overnight, the Nikkei and Topics were up, but Hang Seng was down a reasonable amount, but the Hang Seng has been doing quite well of late. It's interesting that markets are up 0.25%, and it makes the Bloomberg news cycle. What's happening on the economic front? Well, yesterday we had the initial jobless claims report coming in at 364,000. Now, obviously, the lower the figure, the better. And 364 compared to 415 the previous week is actually quite good. And it's also good compared with expectations, which were 390,000. So it does appear, with the ADP report yesterday improving and the weekly jobless claims report improving, it does appear that the important non-farm payrolls coming out today should, note we said should, not will, also provide an improving situation. That's what the market is going to expect. If that's not the case, then we may very well see gold and silver prices rise. But if that is the case, then markets will move, as far as gold and silver is concerned, or gold particularly, in a marginally downward direction. But if it severely undershoots, in other words, the non-farm payrolls are much worse than expected, then we will see gold and silver prices rise. The market manufacturing PMI, broadly down on June. That's marginally disappointing, although against the expectations, 0.5 lower than expectations and against what happened last month. And the ISM manufacturing index was also down at 60.6. The lowest level since January. However, the reason that hasn't severely affected markets was the expectation was going to be 61. Not of sufficient significance to make a big inroad into what the markets are going to react to. But slightly disappointing, and we have to bear that in mind. Construction spending was also down. So we're getting a mix of economic data, some of it good on the jobs front and on the consumer confidence index front, but not so good, at the moment at least, on manufacturing PMIs. So, how has gold reacted? Well, in the last 24 hours, it's up $8 at 17.83. Which is really quite positive. Now, we had some resistance at 17.75, which it's now surpassed. The next target obviously is going to be 1800, and then the 200-day EMA at 1808. And if that is breached, there are a number of resistance levels, but the target will then be 1875. We're not quite convinced we're going to get there quite yet. On the downside, we have support at 1750, and below that, Obviously 1700 psychological, all the way down to 1675. And again, we don't see that being reached, certainly not this week. So 1783 is the current price. How does that compare with Friday's close? Well, look at that, within $1. Silver hasn't performed quite so well today. That's actually down 7 cents in the last 24 hours and is standing at 26.14. And perhaps part of the reason for that is simply because the economic data has not been quite as attractive on the manufacturing front, which therefore would increase the industrial supply and demand rather for silver, is not feeding through quite yet. So but it's still holding above the 26 level, which is positive. Compared to Friday's close, which was 26.14, we are 3 cents higher. Isn't that interesting? Now, there's support at the 25.94 level, and there is resistance at the much higher at the moment, 50-day average of 27.05. The jobs report will be important as to where this trend will go. Bitcoin, up? No, down today. $1,512. And it's now fallen to 33,000. In the last 24 hours, it's been as high as 35,208 and as low as 32,827. We're finding that Bitcoin is trading over a course of a week generally within a range of about $30,000 to $36,000. Let's have a look if we're right. Yes, we are. 30,191 to 36,545. There are disputing arguments as to whether it's going to rise from the current level or whether it's going to fall below $30,000. But some reports yesterday suggested that George Soros has now, and has been for a very short time, been investing in cryptos. That's it for now. No more to be said. Hope you've enjoyed today's update. It's briefer than yesterday's, thank goodness. Please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And please press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they're published. Tomorrow we have our weekly roundup, where we provide what we do in the morning, but with a little bit more detail and more coverage as to what's likely to happen the following week. And finally, please do not forget to go over to our Crypto Plus channel, where very shortly we shall begin placing some videos and also be introducing you to Nikki, who in the last 2 weeks has started investing in cryptocurrencies. And what we're going to do with Nikki is that we're going to look at her portfolio, at what she's put in so far and how it's fared, and then 2 or 3 times a week review that portfolio. And for her to give us her thoughts on why she is committed to those various acts. So in real life time, we'll be able to see, no holes barred, Nikki's portfolio. Now, in case anyone's wondering, she's not a millionaire. She's someone with a modest portfolio that perhaps many people will start out with of somewhere between £10,000 and £15,000 or up to $20,000. Because at the end of the day, not everyone, A, has the money to invest significantly more, and B, perhaps do not want to take that risk, and we can't blame them. That's to come on Crypto Plus, and we've placed a link below. Have a great day. Until tomorrow. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.